Chat, here we go. We've got a debuting player on the stream. Debuting on my stream, that is, but certainly not debuting in the Rocket League scene, and that is G2's Chicago. G2 Chicago has been working his way up in the ones leaderboard. He's played 40 or something games. I don't know. I checked to see, because sometimes players are up high on the ones leaderboard and they don't play any games. You know, if you're not playing games, usually players aren't going to be really interested in joining a one show match. But I thought 40 or so games is a good amount of games for Chicago. He must be playing a decent amount of ones. So when I asked him if he'd be interested in playing, he agreed to do so. But he's going to go up against Comm, who actually played yesterday. This is Comm of version 1. And Comm put the absolute smackdown on Cosmic. Cosmic is a very talented ones player, and Comm made it seem like that wasn't the case. So we'll see how Chicago fares. The last time I remember Chicago being in a show match, that was a huge save, by the way, was, I believe, against Drees. Chat, do you guys remember Chicago playing a show match other than that match against Drees on Johnny's stream? I feel like that was one of the only ones I can remember. But he was able to take Drees down, and Drees at that time, you know, was like a top 10 type 1v1er. He was playing much more 1v1. I think he was just on the way out of grinding lots of 1v1 around the time Chicago got that win. But that was a tough win indeed. We'll see how he fares against Comm today. By the way, Pyro J, thank you for the raid right as we hopped in to the game there. Much appreciated. Great to see you guys. Hope you had a good stream. Right now, Comm is doing the same thing that he did to Cosmic in this first game. And this time, a roll straight at Chicago's car after turning to Shadow. Didn't really have a good angle to get it clear on a save. And Comm is not letting Chicago back into this either by mixing up the kickoff a good amount. Kickoff wins can lead to some really easy 1v1 games, but Chicago able to get the demo after the fake kickoff and then scores with a reset for his first goal. Comm was looking to come out of the inside of his net on that save, and it was not impossible that he'd be able to intercept that shot, but Chicago getting the movement. That would have been such a nasty wave dash if he did it on purpose. I don't think he meant to 180 wave dash, but if he had 180 right on the 100 boost, I would have popped off, because even if he did it on accident, I would have assumed he did it on purpose, and that would have been insane. But with not getting the boost, I imagine it must have been a mistake. Able to get his first on the board after Comm getting 3 straight. I think that was intended to be a hook shot. Instead, the ball will roll to Comm, who takes it up into an air dribble. Chicago in and out of the nets. It looked like he was almost trying to fake like he was going in and out for, but he actually just power slides inside net and then tries to jump and react. Looking to make a lot of goal line saves is Chicago. He's made a decent amount of them. We talked about, you know, during the introductions, he made a pretty nasty goal line save. But Comm has had the kickoff advantage, and he can run that all the way to a domination in a full series. You saw my tweet about the video getting 300,000. Yeah, we got our first video with 300,000 was actually before a second video reached 200,000. The Dark versus Arsenal game has now got 3,000 views. Wave dash kickoff for Chicago. And Comm doing his best to try and redirect it. Ends up only pinching it into the top right. Another fake kickoff is successful for Comm. Got to get Card versus Chronic so we can follow the Chicago versus Comm. And then Cosmic versus Kaio. Except Kaio's not in the US anymore to play on that Feer ping. Has Comm ever played in a show match before? He's played on tons of one show matches in the past on Johnny's stream. And I think yesterday was his first time playing on my stream. He was able to run to a full sweep against Cosmic. And when Comm was focused on ones the most, you know, before he got into the 3v3 scene, I think it's probably when that was, he was definitely one of North America's top players. And he'd go up against the best of the best, you know, alongside the guys like Daniel, First Killer, You know, that level, Comm was in that conversation when he was playing a lot of ones. Nice flick here for a 7th goal. He's continuing to play well in this game, but he kind of stopped focusing on ones from what I could tell for the most part. And even around Turf Wars, I don't think that was Comm's best performance that we've seen from him in the ones game mode. In fact, ones didn't seem to be exciting him too much. But as of late, he is rated around 20 in the world. And just like Chicago, that meant, you know, I could tell they're playing some ranked ones and might be interested in giving it another go in a match. And Comm has shown that he absolutely still has it all. 7-2 for him right now. We saw the pogo attempts. Comm had a pogo on Twitter on Reddles, the famous pogo. Yet to see him score one in a 1v1 context, but as soon as he's gotten a significant lead like he has in this game, we've seen him bring him out. Chicago has been all over the place on defense, but has been able to get a couple saves. You see him going on the back wall, coming back down to the ground, and still getting a touch on that first save. But only 2 goals and a kickoff possession again to Comm. It's going to make this hard for him. By the way, Blaker's son, I think you cheered 100 bits. I'm just seeing that now. Another goal line save attempt from Chicago. Comm forces him to make that save into the net, and then a fake challenge likely results in Chicago flicking early. This is a great 50 for him, though. Just needs to get the angle, and he misses high, and certainly you could see the frustration from Chicago. If there was going to be a chance in this game, number one, it was going to be with that ball going in. Comm, look at the pogo! Chicago able to stop him. Not going to let him walk away with clips as well. Gets a 3rd goal from it. 37 seconds. It would have to be a heavy, heavy change in the way the kickoffs have been going if we see Chicago come back in this one. And once again, it's a Comm victory. Sure, he loses it into his corner, but the first real possession comes after he's gained control and been able to pick up his back corner boost. Chicago, fake reset. Actually, Comm covers that as well. Where will Chicago find his offense as the series goes on, and will he be able to clean up the kickoffs? He tried to go for a pogo of his own. Do you think Comm is underrated talent-wise because people focus so much on his demos? Yeah, I think people do probably overly categorize Comm as just a demoer. Game number 2. It all starts on a diagonal kickoff, and Comm fakes it, and that kind of gives you an idea of what could happen. But actually, a perfect bounce for Chicago, and he is going to see his first lead of this series. Comm flubbing the fake after getting Chicago to chip the ball into the corner. Not a lot more you can ask for. Chicago popping this ball high. Comm still getting the first shot attempt, but maybe a bit later than you would have expected after missing that initial grab of the boost. And Chicago keeps this angle tight to the post to make sure Comm does not have a window to keep it out. Demos are hard to do correctly without putting your team in a bad spot. I mean, yeah, just demoing pros in general. You know, it's not like looking for demos in your low ranks where everyone stays right in your path. Comm is able to take a lot of very smart players off the field, including Chicago now, but Chicago respawns. He's able to tap this one off the back wall. He's had great movement in net. Chicago went on defense, not very stagnant. At times, it felt like it's resulted in him maybe putting himself a little bit out of position, but he really doesn't want to slow down. Comm is trying to force him to. Nice early challenge. Able to clip the ball just barely. We saw Comm flick past Chicago in game 1. Chicago actively putting in work to make sure that doesn't happen again. Able to 50 Comm off this bounce. Comm stays in control of the ball. Air dribble from Comm. The demo! The first demo goal will come from an air dribble. Comm electing not to get a reset and just rush the ball over. I wish I could have watched it from Chicago's perspective, because there's a very clear moment in Comm's spin when he might lean back and let his wheels touch the ball for a reset. And I wonder if Chicago reacted to that time at all. We didn't get to see it from his perspective, but there's a good chance that he maybe started to turn in expecting a reset. Instead, Comm just took the dribble straight over. Chicago trying to muscle his way through, and he succeeds. Chat's dying of cringe, presumably for Comm's air dribble bump. But it was one of the more impressive air dribble bumps. Also, by the way, I think I added lives of based for whenever somebody is able to avoid any cringe play. Chicago has backed off a lot in net. He's shown that he feels good about his goal line defense, and Comm is not rushing it. He's slowly collecting the ball and attacking him in net. This time the fake flick gets Chicago out of position. Now Chicago has read the fake kickoff this time, which just gets him killed. Comm rushing this shot. Chicago, who's shadowed, had to use a ton of boost just to protect the bounce before gaining control. And I think Chicago couldn't decide what to do. He turns off ball cam, and I feel like he could have rushed this ball if he thought he was getting scored on. But he lets go of boost there, and I don't know if he thought he was going to be out there with the midfield by himself. But certainly he keeps boosting all the way through if he's expecting Comm to take that long shot. Chicago, what a power slide cut. Would have been impressive if it had surprised Comm, but Comm had the read on the fact that Chicago was going to bring the ball to a complete stop. I guess the reality is that Comm was probably too far away when the actual cut happened, so he had time to react. If he was a bit closer, then there's a good chance that Chicago would have sent him flying. Comm integrating those demos into his game. Chicago wants to carry the ball into the back corner to stay in possession of it, and Comm intercepts him as he lands. It was a better start for Chicago, but having a tough time against the destroyer. Chicago gets him back. Don't think he was intentionally setting up a demo play. Seemed like he was slamming the ball hard from the midfield. Potentially punish an over-aggressive Comm. 40 boost to work with. Comm going to go for the ceiling pinch. Did he get it? He did! Comm! We saw him try the ceiling pinch against Cosmic in his previous match, but he hits it with perfection this time. Oh my goodness. One bounce. I guess it wasn't perfect. He couldn't make it not bounce. It had one bounce just outside the net. What can you do if you're Chicago? Really, the only thing you can do is convert on all your kickoff possessions. That's what he's going to have to do. He's got a great one now, and just because he scored or didn't score this first attempt doesn't mean he didn't convert on it. Comm is still in a really tough spot after this initial save. 30 boost to work with. Chicago effectively flicks over the top of where he can get to. Minute 33. Slight delay on the kickoff for Chicago. Really attack the ball and try and not let Comm get started. Comm was actually expecting him to attack him in the corner, and that's why he played it quick. A lot of players would take this slow, as you don't normally want to just slam the ball like this as a long shot. If Chicago is going back to net immediately, that long shot just hands the ball to Chicago. But Chicago is turning in towards Comm to try and put on as much pressure on ball. Comm will just launch it past. The air dribble for him. Chicago challenge from the ceiling. Comm gets a decent 50. And front flips to finish an 8th goal. Not a bad challenge from Chicago. Just need to get down even lower, though, if he wanted to get a solid touch on the ball. Kickoff possession for Chicago. He's fumbling it, though. Might even turn into a Comm goal. Talked about before, Comm is going to win his fair share of kickoffs, and he knows how to convert on them. Chicago needs to get something better out of each of his possessions. Comm really wants a pogo. Chicago stops this one. We've gotten into pogo range for Comm. Once he's starting to feel confident that he's got a game win, he's up 4 with 40 seconds. Sidewall read. Not there. Chicago lobbing to the backboard. Comm able to control it and not able to clear it, though. So it isn't impossible. Comm's going to have to do something really questionable on a few consecutive kickoffs. By the way, turn down. Thank you for the tier 1 for 3 months. Who do you think? What do you think about your top 3 ones players right now? Daniel's still up there. No, I think we talked about top ones players in a previous stream. I think we had, since we weren't able to do it this month, we had Rawas, Moxie, TRK. We are going to have to... I mean, this series is not over. I think Chicago could still put up a good fight. We've seen tons of series like this turn around. But if Comm continues to perform like this, I mean, Chicago, Cosmic, these players are very, very solid ones players. Comm might have to get some swings at the best. Game number 3. Chicago and Comm. Comm has started a couple different games with a fake kickoff, which I believe sends a message that the kickoffs aren't going to be easy. You have to constantly be thinking. I mean, we talk about the fact that Chicago has had a tough time on the kickoffs. By the way, he's using his new G2 goal explosion. I'm going to watch this one again for the advertisement. Everybody go check out the G2 goal explosion. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of the kickoff struggles for Chicago could probably be attributed to the way Comm has mixed up the kickoff on his side of the field, not letting Chicago get a read on what's happening. And that miss is an own goal. Comm positioned in the shadow right around the center of the net. Chicago trying to make sure he gets it around him. Ends up getting too much on that ball. Comm has faked every kickoff so far this game. And I think 2 out of the 3 of them have gone his way. I want to say the second one, of course, Chicago had that shot attempt that he wasn't able to convert. Chicago pre-jumping Comm's air dribble, and when he sees that happening, he just puts pace on the ball and rushes it to net. Doesn't expect Chicago to be able to get down and back up in a position to actually make a save, and he is right. Oh, Chicago. Nice chip past Comm. Is he going to be able to get an angle on this? Not fast enough. But still Chicago's possession. Comm chasing him down into the corner. Now he's backed off, so Chicago is forced to take this air dribble high because of Comm's pressure. And then Comm backs off right when Chicago is now stuck with a dribble starting at ceiling height. A dribble starting at ceiling height, really hard to work with. Now Chicago has a much better setup. Falling into the resets, but this one's off the back wall. Can he not turn it into a goal? No. I mean, he was in a tough spot. Once he didn't put it on target, almost was able to redirect it, but Comm was out there waiting. Comm off the ceiling. Getting a reset on the ball right underneath it is one way to stop the falling trajectory. Chicago really probably needed to convert after that missed attempt from Comm. He ended up touching it so strong, couldn't follow it back up. Chicago now with space. Comm attacking immediately. I mean, we talk about the space he had. Well, he had it only for a moment. Had he been able to read that Comm was diving, might have only taken just a bit of a flick to get it over the top of him, but Comm has been so unpredictable. Chicago backflipping through. Comm just jumping on this side of the ball, doing his best to maybe either try and trick Chicago or prepare for any shot that could be made at him. Chicago staying on this ball, lobbing it to the ceiling, and with zero boost, not backing off. Hard to do when you know your opponent's going to have 100 and going to be able to reach a much higher level than you. Comm gets the side swipe shot to finish off this one. Or 4-2 wave dash kickoff for the both of them. Comm just playing much more confident out of that position. You can see Chicago not sure what he wanted to do on his way back to the corner. Comm very sure of himself, launching it into the orange half. Chicago, can he get the double? Slightly bumped by Comm, which threw him off from being able to finish it. This 50 doesn't go in his favor either, so it'll be Comm into the blue corner. Chicago chasing him down, forcing him into the air. And might be able to get this counterattack. Comm looking to demo him. Cannot connect. So still within one with 1:30 for Chicago. But having played from behind for what has been essentially the entirety of the series, I think he might have gotten the lead to start this game. Feels like really isn't that close. Not until he actually takes over control. Chicago unable to demo Comm, looking to make a possession play. He's not going to be able to go into his corner to grab boost. He's up off his back wall with zero. It's actually a really good defensive effort from Chicago to deal with that pass that he had set up for Comm. Fake ceiling challenge pulls Comm back down to the ground. He'll continue his bounce. Comm refuses to actually take the final shot, and now he's got himself an open net and a second goal. Comm says, if you're not going to come and attack me, then I'll just never take the shot. And Chicago, when he aimed at the ball the first time around, what he saw was a touch that would just hand the ball back to Comm, so he pulls off of it and tries to turn it into something else, and instead just gives it over. Long shot for Chicago. Still in it with 36 seconds. So far, Comm has yet to lose a game when playing on my stream. Are we going to see any mix-up from Chicago? No, we just go standard kickoff. In fact, both of them do. And Chicago gets a direct goal, 5-5. The spark is there. Comm very clearly moving around the right side of the ball towards the end of that kickoff. And that's what makes it possible for Chicago to get a goal. I was going to say, I bet you Comm is going to fake the kickoff. The big kickoffs have worked well for him. And after a standard kickoff didn't go his way, might as well go back to what has been working. Chicago with possession in Comm's half. Interesting power slide from Comm to try and keep his momentum, but he might have just left a big portion of his net open. No, he's able to box out Chicago. He is taking the lead in the final moments. Chicago thought he could get his way into the net, but Comm able to clear it into his corner and play keep away from Chicago as he gets in his way towards the boost. Wait a second. No way. What? Chicago reads the delayed kickoff and he just chips it on target. Comm doesn't even touch the ball. It's a tie game again. 1 second left to go. Oh, the delay from both of them. Comm loses the game of chicken first, hits the ball. That way with diagonal, Comm has faked the diagonal so many times in this series. Takes it straight diagonal. This time around, Chicago doesn't grab the midfield boost. Wait, Comm doesn't grab the back corner boost. What? What's going on? Why did the game just end this way? Two extremely high-level pros drive inches away from the boost without grabbing it. And that favors Chicago as he will not get swept. And we are set at 2-1. Game number 4. I didn't think we were going to have a game number 4 after Comm scored the go-ahead goal with, what was it, 1 second, 2 seconds on the clock? But then instead of just taking what probably should have been a very standard kickoff, he delayed it and tried to jump over the top of it. Chicago was able to snipe it around him. And then the display of mechanical excellence when both pro Rocket League players missed their boost grab by inches that led to a Chicago win. Chicago another early lead. Comm actually placed that perfectly. If he puts it inside the net, then Chicago gets the save. But by slamming it off the post, there's actually a ton of speed on that flick as well. He's able to convince Chicago to try and make the save and then not be able to get back to the bounce back. Santa Cruz, thank you for the prime. Oh, Comm getting back to this ball. Thought it was falling to the center field. Chicago does get the demo. I looked away at the Twitch notification for a moment. Comm falling with 0 boost makes him an easy target. Chicago very heavily getting around that ball to push it left on this kickoff. We saw Comm do something similar, and he was instantly scored on. This time, Comm making a really late adjustment just outside the ball, just outside the center field. And I think that slowed his kickoff down, which enabled Chicago to get away with it. Getting around the ball is slower than just the perfect standard. And because Comm was even slower, he was able to get away with it. Yeah, this is a much cleaner kickoff from Comm as far as standard kickoffs go, and it's going to get him a goal. You see, no late adjustments. Straight off the flip, he's directly on target and hits square goal side of the ball. I didn't watch Chicago's. We probably should have watched Chicago's too to see if he had any sort of mistake on the approach, because that's what KV1 did so well. KV1, who was known to have a really solid kickoff, he was just like a robot. He would perfectly set up his standard every time. Nice shot from Chicago. Chicago has been given life. In the first 2 games, he was only scoring what Comm let him have, even what felt like all the way to the very end. And when Comm gave him some free kickoffs in order to take the game. But at the start of this game start of this game 4, Chicago has new life. He has been able to win some kickoff goals, earn some possessions, and turn them in for goals even when Comm is there in defense. And as I hype him up, he falls off the wall with no boost and does not make contact. Yo, thank you, Least Toxic Player, for the 2 months of Prime. Always great to have YouTube viewers showing up on the Twitch stream. Chicago has been crushing kickoffs now. It's completely swapped over. I think as far as direct kickoff goals, Chicago has had the majority of them. I think Comm had another late approach to this one. He tried to snipe Chicago as he headed to the midfield for the demo. I think this is one of the first times we've seen Chicago evade Comm's demo, trying to pre-flip to see if he could finish off that play, but Comm was up early to stop him. All right, Comm with space. This is another thing that Chicago was doing earlier in the series that I think was a mistake. A lot of times on defense, he was fully retreating, backing off and giving Comm time to get comfortable and set up his play. This time, that's what happens. The flick over the top of Chicago. Almost like he recognized what he was doing after he had pushed a bit too far away. Chicago taking the risk that he can grab the midfield boost and make it back, and that risk pays off. This strong shot, though, is not on target, which means Comm does not have to entertain making a save and should just be able to turn this in for a possession. We'll see how Chicago handles the ball in the corner. He still isn't really in control of it with Comm chasing him down. Comm, the fake wall pinch, does not lead to Chicago backing off, who's there right away. Chicago looking for maybe a pinch directly on net from the corner. We've seen some people hit those in the past. Not an easy angle to find. Chicago thought about chasing Comm down there, and then Comm tried to chase him back, but Chicago has been able to evade him. As the series has gone on, Chicago has been more aware of the fact that Comm's always coming to get him, and he uses just enough boost after picking it up in the midfield to stay away. And Comm, an all-in play, trying to connect on that demo. Wild air dribble for Comm. Did he get a reset there? I'm not sure he did. So I don't think he was, you know, not using a flip. I think he never had it in the first place. Chicago, some camera checks to see, is Comm leaving? Notice that he is. He's going to have at least a bit of time to try and set up his dribble, but Comm turns right back in the midfield. That's the kind of defense that I think you want to see from somebody in ones. Both these players too solid on offense to be given any sort of open space. Comm just needs a sliver here to collect this ball and flick it over the top of Chicago, who didn't want to come challenge him in the corner. It can be tough to win that in a meaningful way. Turns to Shadow instead. Comm able to beat that as well. Chicago, nice shots. Waiting for the ball to bounce just enough off the wall. Also a really smart initial pop. He knows how Comm has been diving, trying to end Chicago's possessions as soon as possible. Comm doesn't use the reset again, but he's been able to convince Chicago to stay grounded and never challenge him. Because as soon as Chicago tries to challenge him as he falls to the ground there, Comm will use that reset and send Chicago flying. And Comm is quick back up off the ground. Still the lead for Chicago. A game position that we haven't seen at all so far, which is Chicago up by a few goals in the last minute. Comm maybe not making this backflip challenge in a different game context, but down late, willing to take the risk to see if he could steal this one. He's going to win this kickoff. He's been faking most of his wall to air dribbles, coming to the ground. This time double reset, and he actually takes it. Chicago was expecting a shot a bit higher as he jumps over the top of the finish from Comm. Just ended up putting himself right in the trajectory of the ball. Just a bit higher. Chicago, he has been farming these immediate kickoffs. Comm able to get it out with a nice backflip. Not going to be easy to do so. Chicago placing high, knowing that Comm is low on boost. And Comm is going to have a really tough time coming back 2 goals when Chicago has the advantage. He will send this one away. Back to the ball before Comm can get there. Chicago's going to force game 5. I don't think we would have expected this with 1 minute left to go in game number 3, but here we are in a series deciding game 5 between Chicago and Comm. All right, game number 5. I had missed out on 15 seconds of the previous one because my party got destroyed. It kicked me out of the game. And it looks like Comm had scored a goal in the first 15 seconds of the previous one. So Chicago wants to give it to him. So I will be here. And it looks like Comm is maybe gifting Chicago 4 seconds. So gentlemen's agreement from both of them. And now we are back into game 5 with Comm up 1. Yeah, it was supposed to be 1-0, 4:45. I think Comm was ready and willing to just restart the whole game and not even take his goal. But Chicago wanted to make sure he got it. Comm going to score another. Chicago trying to be patient at first on the goal line and then diving on the ball, and Comm able to glue it to its position. Did Comm change his car? We saw him leave the match, presumably for the purpose of changing car, but I remember he was playing Fennec before as well, right? Single jumping to avoid what he thought could be a Chicago demo. Slow dribble right now as Chicago refuses to challenge Comm. Is this going to be a scoring goal? It is! Oh, man. What an intense 1v1. Neither one of these guys ever really committing to the ball. Chicago, who feels like if he makes a play on it, it's going to end up resulting in a negative outcome for him. So he's not trying to make any strong moves. And Comm just takes that to his advantage and slowly rolls it all the way into net before a single jump turns into another goal. 3-0 for Comm. Looked like he was about to do the same thing again. He refuses to make a play on the ball. He's like, you have to come get me, Chicago. I will not move till you come. This low 50 is covered by Chicago. Right as he's starting to gain possession, Comm takes it away. Chicago has to know it's a good chance to be targeted for a demo as he looks to steal the corner boost. He is playing much more aggressive. Wow. This is a tough read to make off the inside of the post. I think Chicago earlier would be backing off. He jumps off the back wall and is able to read the post bounce for his first goal. Chicago diving into Comm's back corner to take his boost as Comm looks to try and get the kickoff advantage. By doing so, Chicago turning and saying, no, you cannot have my back corner. Takes Comm off the map. Air dribble. Good defense by Comm. Able to force the 50 outside of the net, but still not in a great position here. Chicago chipping the ball up, hoping to get it past Comm, but quick reaction time keeps it from making its way toward the net, and Comm should be able to get to his corner boost now, so he will escape, and he's going to take the ball immediately into an air dribble back to Chicago's net. No 50 for him. Chicago looking to counterattack with speed. Comm there with time to spare and is able to dodge Chicago's demo attempts. Nice 50 win for Comm and turns it in for a fourth. When you have a tough camera angle on this ball, it can be hard to get the right read on what the offense is going to try and do to get it past you, but Comm does it perfectly. So well, he's able to turn it in for a goal himself. Wave dash kickoff for Comm over the top of the approaching Chicago, and they'll just carry it all the way in. This is the mix-up that Comm is essentially forced out of Chicago by playing those really slow dribbles earlier. He has turned Chicago into a much more aggressive defender. He's able to punish him there by attacking quickly. Comm launching this one to the back wall, trying to speed the double. Gave up that midfield boost in hopes that he could find the angle and just score immediately. Chicago now has a shadowing Comm. Forces him to save off the backboard, and playing very passively here as he grabs boost and is expecting Comm to eventually have to back off and give him a possession. Just waiting for that moment, and the moment seemed to partially come, but Comm not ever fully leaving. He's able to get that midfield boost. Chicago diving to steal Comm's. I imagine we're not going to see Chicago with a minute left and a 4-goal deficit. He's not going to let Comm collect the ball ever. He's going to be all over the play until he's able to bring it back. Chicago gave just a bit too much space to feel comfortable immediately attacking the ball, but he does come back as soon as he feels like there's an opening. He's able to take this one away. Get a second goal. He needs 3 straight kickoff goals. This is a solid kickoff win. Chipping immediately towards nets. The flicks haven't really been there for Chicago yet, but this one does not get cleared. Very strong. Ball on the back wall can be tough to turn into a scoring opportunity, and that touch might have been the end of it. I mean, everything has to be directly at net with 3 goals to make up. 10 seconds left to go. Comm sends it down the field and secures the series win in Game 5. Had a tough couple games in 3 or 4 trying to finish it out, but ultimately he gets there. GG's all around. Comm in Game 5 able to hold off Chicago for the win.